All right, all right, all right. It's on again. It's Monday night. Finally, we are back for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf.
Oh,
And currently, we don't have anyone on the panel. So, what that means, you can join. We got plenty of room. Um, and who else know we never know who else is going to show up for the panel. Uh, but if it's you, please show face. Recap from this past Monday's show: things men do that annoy women in the dating process. We covered many talking points, such as when men ignore women. We talked about that. It went into great lengths about men having their time for themselves, sports and things like that, or inappropriate times when women just want to talk and can't get to a shortcut for the conversation and just keep going on and on and on. Yeah, I know how that is. Uh, and we talked about more swagger than substance. When a guy he's swagged out, but he really doesn't have no substance. It's just all for show. And self admiration. So we had great content. Do yourself a favor and check out the replay. Okay, we have some unfinished business from this past Monday. We will lead off with gender issues. Do we really care? Meaning, does the opposite gender care about issues such as the Me Too movement, child support, single motherhood, and we'll go into some other ones as well. So the grill is heating up with much more to come. So let's look at segment two: stages and seasons in relationships. I will give you two appetizers for each. The merge, and that's when two people come together, the honeymoon stage, and everything is just beautiful. Like that, like she the one for you, he the one. And then you have doubt and denial. When suddenly some things start going wrong, or you like, maybe this ain't, maybe this is not what I thought it was. Then you start doubting and going through denial. So that was stages, but then there's seasons, and we always talk about the popular one, cuffing season, and then you have like winterizing season. So we'll go deeper into those the four seasons. Yeah, we're going to go deep. Make sure you pop in. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We 22 subs away, people, from 600. Let's go. It shouldn't take this long to get to 600. Really, it's not like we're charging. It's not like you can charge. You simply go on YouTube. Um, if you're not one that's subscribed to YouTube, you may want to take the time to do that because it's tons and tons of information. Um, there's a gamut of things you could do on YouTube. It's just not about podcasts. There's movies that's you can pull up and watch on YouTube, documentaries, sport and things. You name it, it's there.
mm-hmm.
So don't just subscribe to your feel like okay you got to be stuck into your local cable plan and say oh it's nothing that comes on TV because you put it in YouTube in the search thing you can find pretty much whatever you want to look for and it's no wonder like that's one of the biggest platforms out there.
Yeah.
So anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed the Super Bowl and whatever festivities you had going on because it's time to move on to the next one. And here we are, Monday night. So what's going on with you, Big Bad Wolf?
I got a question for the viewership, especially for those ladies, as Uncle D, Dennis Spelling would say, those lovely ladies who are single or perhaps just looking for a social adventure. What did you do yesterday between the hours of 5 and 9 p.m.? If you didn't host a singles event or attend a singles event, you wasted an opportunity for potentially meeting someone, bridge building, relationship building. The Super Bowl is one of the most social events that Americans, private Americans, can host. If you didn't attend the Super Bowl party, didn't host a Super Bowl party, and you're a single eligible woman looking for single eligible men, you probably missed a golden opportunity. Just putting it out there. But I'm good, man. I didn't do too much, man. I just sat around with my brother, his really, really good lifelong friend, and my nephew, man, and we chopped it up and had a few things to eat, man. Enjoyed the festivities and the family, man. I can't ask for anything else.
Yeah, I kept it simple too, and that's just the way I like it. Sometimes being in the confines of your own home, where you can go, you can have your unlimited drinks, you can go to your bathroom, sit there, and ain't got to worry about nobody pulling on the knob or clogging up somebody's toilet or whatever the case is. You're in total comfort. So sometimes that beats everything to me. Comfort
Yeah.
is everything. But needless to say, it was a great game.
Yeah, people complain about the halftime show. Usually, I take a nap during the halftime show because I like to keep my midnight routine. So I'm usually asleep. I usually go to sleep by 6 o'clock, and I'm up about 9:30, depending on the time of year. 10 o'clock when the summers and such, because then I get the bike ride to work, so it saves me about a half an hour. But yeah, man, we generally cover a lot of ground, but we always talk about relationships and in its many forms. And I'm serious when I say that yesterday was a golden opportunity to meet people, man. And if you're struggling to meet people, you don't have conversation openers or things of that nature, you missed a golden opportunity. You really did. Hey, boy.
And that's a great. I mean, I agree with that. That is opportunity that people, in years past when I would attend Super Bowl parties, it's amazing people that you can run into, or if you've seen them before, but you never really had conversation, and then it kind of builds on, your dialogue and your relationship builds up after that because you stay in contact. So
Yeah.
it's just a time that you spend a great deal of time with individuals, and most people don't come. They come earlier, so it's pretty much be like a 4 or 5 hour, and that depends because some people still keep it going after the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, exactly my point. I mean, you can get really, really, if you're creative, you can host a board game playing before the event, especially if there's kids. Let's say there's kids. Come on, he don't want you on the show, man. Let's say there's kids. Let's say you invite over some family members. They got some kids. Break out the board games. Have somebody supervise them. Whether you play Life, I'm Sorry, Connect Four, Pop. What is it? Pop Four. All those things that you want your kids to do. All those things that you aspire for your kids to do. Set them up. Have somebody play chaperone to them. Somebody that doesn't necessarily like Super Bowl, and you got yourself a family outing. It's the one time you can be guaranteed people to come together, and the cooking doesn't have to be done by one person. It can be a shared experience. It really can. If people sometimes people need to invest in themselves, and this is one of those opportunities where you can invest in yourself. You want to try out a different recipe. You want to try out some dip. Bang! Sit it on the table. You bake some cookies. You want to try out a new recipe, but you don't know how people are gonna react. Bang! Sit it on the table. By the end of the night or whatever it is, you're gonna find out if what you made, that new recipe, was a hit or it was a dud. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It's another reason, honestly, when we talk about on the show, and acknowledgement to one of the I can't remember the name that he went by, but acknowledgement to his transition as well. one of the brothers from De La Soul. We always talk about, celebrating, while we here. And it's just, just so happens that now a lot of us Gen X men are starting to hit our 50s, man, and we're not hanging around that long. So it's always another reason to, give thanks in that manner, just for being around. But take that opportunity, man, greet your friends. You just want to be up here, don't you, man? Greet your friends, acknowledge your loved ones, your family, and everything.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm reading to Kenya's comment. Hey to Kenya, how you doing? She said that did not work for me. LOL. I don't know. I mean, you talking about as far as meeting someone, it didn't work for you, or maybe because you were at the party and you kept speaking on the Buffalo Bills and people weren't really trying to hear that shit. So that could have been the case. So I don't know, but that's that. We're gonna like I said, we had some unfinished business from last week, so we're gonna dive right into that because we usually give housekeeping stuff, little things going on, but I don't really have much going on. Same old, same old.
Yeah.
The middle school kids bad as hell every day, all day. But I don't mean to shed a negative light. There are some great. Let me say this: about 90% of the kids come there and do what they need to do every day. Some of them do it. Some of them do it better than others, but for the most part, most kids come to behave. But then there's that 10% just correct shop, and that's what we expend all our energy on. So, anyways, gender issues. Do we really care? Do men really care about some of the issues that impact women and vice versa? So we'll start off with the Me Too movement and things of that nature, sexual harassment and all that. So, Herb, what's your thought process on that?
Well, before we get into anything specifically, what I did for this particular topic, so there isn't an imbalance, I came up with a list of 22 to 23 things that I want the viewing audience. If you can type in one, if you think men are adversely affected by the item that I listed, or zero for women. Okay. He already mentioned Me Too. You mentioned sexual harassment, child support, prison sentences. I shouldn't have to ask. Not tonight. Body shaming, being broke. Real men do this, obviously. Body count, deadbeat parent, paying for dates, child care, cooking and or cleaning, affirmative action, transphobia. He needs to fight for his kids, police brutality, chivalry, or another term that some people probably haven't heard too often is pick me, and divorce. Now, with regards to, oh, that's on the screen. Now, with regards to, you mentioned, what was it, Me Too, David?
Yes.
Me Too has come up out of the, I guess I can say need, for lack of a better term, but for the need or the desire from female lens to deal with sexual harassment, whether it's on the job or as it's been called catcalling on the streets or whatever iteration that it is. And I understand that. I understand that aspect. I think anybody, whether you're male or female or alternative lifestyle, you should have the ability to be free from feeling unsafe wherever you go, whatever you're doing. But it's gotten to the point, or at least it seems, that an accusation can be the undoing for men. And I think that's where the balance needs to come in, because of the nature of any accusation, such as it is, can have a damaging effect, particularly when it's being shown to be false. I think that's something that both sides don't think about equally. We just saw here with Michael Irvin in the Super Bowl. There was an accusation made against him. He was pulled from the Super Bowl coverage. Turns out the eyewitnesses are coming forward to refute the young lady's story. He has a countersuit going for $100 million against the unnamed lady, and that's another issue that people have, is that one source is being named while the other source is being protected. Now, I understand the need for anonymity when it comes to things of this nature. The caveat is this: if that individual is found to be false, they face no repercussions. And we all know that filing a false police report is a crime. I don't know if it's a misdemeanor or a felony. That's something I have to look into. But that's something that proponents of this are speaking towards. So, when you deal with this topic specifically, it has the potential, if unchecked, to run amok and destroy the lives of a lot of people, especially when it's not true.
And I think one of the things, as you read up on some of these issues in regards to gender, I think a lot of the older guys, their responses may be different than the younger generation. They were more understanding. Older guys is kind of like this is not what we do. When we see a woman we like, we try to holler at them and try to get with them, and it's to the point now that they feel like, shit, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to say to a woman. You if you compliment too much, everything is weird, creepy, or whatever the case is. So, and you wonder why we have a lot of crazy social interaction, and nobody's talking to each other because you may say, "Damn, she pretty over there," but I'm not gonna go approach her because, you know, I'm random. She don't know me, and me approaching her that style doesn't seem to work. No, don't get me wrong, not in all cases, but a lot of times now people hold back, don't pull the trigger because they don't want to be put out there or viewed as like they're being a freak or a creep. So can't have it. Something has to give. You can't be looking for a man or wanting a man, but then don't want anybody to say don't want anybody to say anything to you, or don't like what they say, or break down you know, every little thing that they say. Something has to give.
Yeah, and there's been, for those of you who are into fitness and you go to gyms, there's been a whole lot of attempts to shame men who have been perceived to be leering at women working out. And there's a gentleman that I'd like to acknowledge his efforts. His name is Joey Swole, a Caucasian man. I think he might be in his mid-30s, works out religiously, and he's always critiquing people who are, filming others in a manner to exploit them for social media capitalism. And he's pushing back on that, as well as a lot of other people, including a lot of women. So I would certainly like to take my hat out to acknowledge what he's doing and what the other people are doing. The reason why I brought this up is because there's a young lady in a gym who was doing squats, and I don't know how much weight she was working with. She completed the first 2 reps, but she couldn't get the third, so she was seated in the squatted position with that weight on her shoulders. And that can get uncomfortable. It can stretch out the ligaments and tendons, and it can do damage if not addressed. Fortunately for her, she was only there in that position for about 30 to 45 seconds before another female came and assisted her. Had what David just addressed being viewed as a creep or something else, had that not been prevalent, I'm sure a guy would have assisted earlier. But at the risk of their reputation, guys are just saying, you know what? We are walking away. We are not going to risk social alienation or social annihilation just because we saw a female and we happen to look at her. That's natural for a heterosexual man. That's as natural as somebody picking up some money. And you have men that are being demonized for it.
And I remember, some shows ago that you had mentioned, we talked about sometimes when women are stranded on the side of the road in
Mhm.
unsafe conditions, and guys like, typically I would help. Maybe I don't know that much about cars like that, but I see this young lady out there by herself. Certainly, things could go bad. So let me pull over. Some guys is just rolling by. Shit, peace, not my
Yeah,
business, not my concern. Don't know her, and keep it moving. And it shouldn't have to be like that.
yeah. I mean, you know, I can't remember. I think it was BGS that said women do not want men to start playing that game, and that game is things falling along gender lines. Because we already see it with zillennials and the whole laying flat culture. And it was estimated that I can't remember the graphic. It was 7 to 52% of eligible age working men are not working. Essentially, what that's going to do for women who are looking to get married, start families, is you're going to have to shoulder, or the offspring are going to have to shoulder more of the financial load if you can find a capable man. We are sitting at a crisis situation in manhood. You can blame anybody you want, but the blame is not going to get it fixed. I'm putting out the alarms now because BGS has been sounding about this for years. I know a lot of people don't listen to him. I do. I bring his knowledge and his wisdom here because I think people need to hear it. And I think we need to understand it as a populace and certainly as a culture that if we don't start to fix things in our own homes, we can forget about the community and the city and the country falls next. So I'm just here to put that out there, man. Things need to turn around, and the sooner, the better.
Yeah, and we talk about that at great lengths. That it all starts from the home and then filters into the community, such as the workplace, such as schools and stuff like that. If you in a jacked up space, leaving from home, most people don't have that ability to kind of block everything off. What's going on? It's going to impact them. And for me working in school, I see it all the time in
Mhm.
schools, and then you can see it in the workplace that and sometimes somebody you might get wind of that they're going through something at home uh, with their significant other. You can see their piss pot attitude towards everything, and then certain jobs you bring a bunch of people in like that together, and it's just chaos where you got people fighting at the jobs and carrying on, and it all stems back to issues at home, which nobody really wants to address. I mean, yeah, like I say, you can put in I always say you can put in all these programs you want to in school all day long and get all these grants and all that. Don't mean shit. They still got to go back home. They still got to go back home, and if their family is not integrated into those programs, it's all for nothing. They learn some stuff at school, then when they go home, they go back to what they normally do.
Which bleeds into the next one that I'm gonna take off the list. I'm just gonna follow suit to what you lead is childcare. Ultimately, and people talk about parenting being a job. Parenting is not a job. Parenting is a responsibility. You have a responsibility as a parent to ensure that you raise a competent adult. When I say competent, I mean that individual needs to be able to be employable, be able to coexist in the world without being a nuisance or a criminal. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody or saying anyone's not doing a good job. I'm just simply saying the people that created that child are responsible for that child. Now, however, the adults hopefully choose to come together to parcel out caring for that child, paying for that child, maintaining that child, that should be done at home. Society, and more importantly, school districts should not be left to be responsible for the life that you two created. And I know David has. I see it. I've seen it with the mentoring program they used to be a part of. Is that a lot of these kids they were short with a mother only. I'm not blaming a absentee father because I don't know the circumstances. I just know what I see, know what I've seen, and I see how that adversely affects a child because a lot of these childs come here and they only come there with a fraction of the things that they should have. We look at the overall standardized test scores, and for boys, they are dropping. And they're dropping like a cinder block in a pool of water. And you can only go so far down before you hit rock bottom. And then everything starts to fall apart because you only have half a functioning society. And no country flourishes with only half its adult population being functional.
Yeah. So many. So we're talking about the single
Yeah,
parent. Yeah?
yes, yep. Child care, single parent. I mean, it all comes together, and you just pulling from. I look at it like this. I look at it like a wheel on a bike that has different spokes. All those spokes make that tire strong. When you start having weak spokes, broken spokes, or missing spokes, that tire is no longer able to support that weight. We there is it's the old adage that success has 1,000 fathers. Failures is an orphan, and that's how we have to look at it. There's we let's talk about athletics for a moment and all the great players that we've ever seen. We talk about Michael Jordan, but for every Michael Jordan, there's a Dean Smith. We talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For every Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's a John Wooden. None of these men are made on their own. You're killing me, boy. None of these men are made on their own. There takes a village to produce a competent child. We see it in the Jewish culture. They push their boys for it. We see it in just about every other culture, even black culture, even though it might be minimal, they push their boys for it. It has to be done. It needs to be done. If we want to continue to see this country flourish as a place where people want to come, whether it's for college or to get away from a brand of oppression or to be the beacon, as we once were considered the light on the hill, that country that people aspire to be or visit, we have to start changing within ourselves. We have to start acknowledging that some things are unfair, they're unbalanced, they're punitive, and they need to be adjusted. They need to be dealt with.
Yeah, and it was interesting that seen some. I got it from somebody else. They had made a post, and they it was in regards to saying that I should have pulled it up, but to get the actual verbiage. But it was the basics. Basics. It was saying that men are better single parents than women, and she was kind of like supposedly, or I forgot the actual what she actually had said, but I posted it in the counselor's corner, and of course, some of the guys was like, "Oh, it's the truth. Research says it, and everything." So I found that interesting because certainly both parents have strengths and weaknesses, and we talk about that. So I don't look at stuff like to say that somebody's a better parent than the next person. I don't think something like that is about competition, but too often people try to make it a competition and try to outdo the next person to get in good graces with the child. And sometimes it's not even about that. Sometimes it's different situations in a child's life, and if you give them the right message and you're consistent, when they get older, they may lean toward that.
Yeah.
They may lean toward that. So sometimes it's not about money or you're able to buy them this or get them that, uh, because all you're doing is creating a monster when it might be times that you're not able to provide. And now kids are always trying to keep up and compete with other kids as far as, and it ain't no little small things like when we were growing up. All this stuff is expensive. And you know, whether they come to school and they don't have the upgraded phone, they get clowned for that. If they get clowned for sneakers, or those sneakers are not real, you got them from whatever it's called, DH Gates or whatever. I'll be learning a lot of stuff from these kids. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? They just it's just so much, and I'm like, man, it sucks to be a kid in this day and age. Like seriously, so it's just a lot.
Y- Peer pressure is funny because peer pressure is always around. It just manifests itself in different ways. You know, when we were kids, yes, some of those things. I mean, you could get away with some things more so than probably now because of the the social nature of humanity. And that's one of the things I'm actually touching on in the pamphlet. Which speaking of which, I want to actually bring some of those questions here to see how people react to them and see how they pan out. But anyway, I think the social pressures that kids have nowadays, they're magnified. And to what you were saying about the who does a better job, I haven't looked at the metrics of the questions they ask. And when I say that, this is what I mean. They say dads provide more structure, but that structure sometimes comes with a lack of what is perceived as love. So there's not always that touch there. There's more of an emphasis on doing things, being places, goal oriented things. So it's the equivalent of having a student who excels at science, excels at math, they excel at reading. But when it comes to the arts, they are clueless. When it comes to things outside of being able to build something, they don't know anything. And I think that's what a lot of women complain about when they talk about men not being emotionally intelligent. Yes, but men aren't wired like that. It was always considered that women are supposed to be those ones. So, in the attempt to try and reconfigure how men think, you take away from the essence of what a man is supposed to be. And when that occurs, something suffers. I don't necessarily know what that something is. I could actually venture a guess, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not trying to taint anyone's perspective. But for everything you take away from somewhere, you have to add from somewhere else. And if you don't replace what you take away, then you leave a void. Too big a void, you cause a collapse in something. So absolutely, I mean, these kids are under a tremendous amount of pressure. And if they don't understand at a young age how to deal with that kind of pressure, it will only get worse as they age. And once they get into high school and they're ostracized, they find themselves being a loner, it becomes easier to be reckless.
Yeah, it's, it's I tell you, whatever. I don't I don't think people understand the magnitude that educators deal with on a day-to-day basis. I don't I think people think, oh, once they get off the bus or they get dropped off, that's their issue, and they don't
Mm-mm.
they don't understand that the personalities and like at the middle school level and the high school level, you're dealing with a couple hundred kids
Mhm.
each day, and it's I appreciate teachers more every time I have to go and do a counseling lesson. And by the end of the day, I'm like, man, I'm exhausted,
Yeah.
repeating the same shit over and over, telling somebody to be quiet. I'm about to take your name down. I'm gonna call your parent or whatever the case is. People asking to go to the bathroom, put your phone away. It's nonstop, and you wonder why education is low at a low level at points, because a lot of it is just too many distractions and too much going on that by the time you get a class settled in, it's time for them to damn go on to the next
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
So think about when you talk about coming for teachers or anything, think about if your ass was in that classroom on a regular basis, how would you handle it? Because there's people who came in and kids leave them out, have them crying. So think about if you were put in that situation with the light when the lights is bright and you had to deal with it, because you might have a little, a nice little job that you work independently or work with a team and all that stuff, and it's all good. But think about if you had to switch roles and you had to go and deal with that. Many of you couldn't handle it. So I'm gonna say shut the hell up when it comes to disrespecting educators and stuff like that. Now, for one, not all educators are great. Some of them are raw. They're inexperienced, and it takes time. But if you ain't never been in that situation other than just being a student yourself, hush. Please hush.
Yeah.
Please do yourself a favor and hush.
And I'm going to follow that up. I've only did volunteer mentor for about 3, maybe 4 years, and I will tell you what, there would be times where I would step into a classroom that was unruly. And I'm not saying they were rambunctious; they just wouldn't adhere to what the teacher was trying to do in terms of getting the classroom to settle down so they could get into the lesson plan. And when I would walk in there, because nobody knew who I was, immediately, I would say about 90% of the students reacted differently. In other words, what the teacher was saying, they did without question. And there would be times I would chime in. I would ask the people, I would ask the students, I say, why are you guys here? Some intrepid student would say, well, we're here to learn. I said, I don't know. I said, I have to question that. And the teachers were kind enough, because of what David said, they were kind enough to let me engage with the students for about a minute, maybe two. I say, if that's the case, then when the teacher's asking you guys to be quiet, or he or she is asking you for an answer to a question, you will respond in kind. I said, here you guys are being disrespectful to a person, whether they're getting paid or not. They're trying to help you. Because some of these teachers, they don't have to care. And I think a lot of these students don't realize that. I would go into in-school suspension, and I would sit there and I would ask the kids, why are you here? Well, because such and such said such and such and such and such. I'm like, and what did you do? Well, I started screaming on him because I said, and now look where you are. Or I don't care, it felt good. I said, how long do you think you're going to be able to keep this up? before you age out of the school system. Huh? You never too old to go to school. I said, yes, you are. I said, when you turn 21, they can football punch you out of here. What do you think you're going to accomplish with no education and you can't read? And I think sometimes these are the sobering discussions we need to have with kids. We need to sit them down, teach them that when you start doing things like this, you start pushing people away. You start to make yourself become unlovable because you're always a source of problems. Nobody wants to be around a problem child, and nobody wants to deal with a problem adult. And when you look at some of these kids, they get to be 16 talking about, well, I can drop out. Okay. You think that teacher's going to try and convince you not to? That teacher is going to say, you know what? That's one less malcontented kid that I have to deal with. Maybe if that kid leaves or goes to an alternative school, my class turns out to be a better class. Y'all putting these teachers in a position, I say y'all, and I use that term loosely, people are putting these teachers in a position to where it's either your kid doesn't finish school or they maintain their sanity. I think most of the teachers are going to choose to maintain their sanity. So people, it's like David said, that don't stop when they get off the bus. Matter of fact, it gets worse because there's nobody to say, hey, look, that's not proper. That's not appropriate. Do better. Behave better. I send you to that school. I expect you to learn. And if you're not going to learn, then at least be decent enough to let the student next to you learn. Because they want to do something with their lives. Just because you don't mean you can stop them. And I think that's something, that needs to be said.
So for me, right about now, because I have eighth graders, so of course, we've been given that drill about going to high school, but it's getting to that point of the year that they have all start planning for all the festivities, the farewell ceremony, the little cookout, the different end of the year activities. And then there's also it'll be time to start planning for who's going to be retained, who's going to be going to summer school, and if you're going to summer school or you're going to be retained, no, you're not going to be a part of the farewell ceremony. And again, people, and you see this all often, you do not freaking graduate from middle school or elementary. Stop putting that in these kids' head that they graduate. You graduate from high school. You could graduate from a trade school program, college, but elementary, all that stuff that y'all be doing, they ain't graduated. Because guess what? They have no choice. You can't stay in elementary for too long, and you can't stay in middle school. So by default, you're gonna move on to the next level. So they ain't accomplished shit yet. They ain't accomplished nothing. You start accomplishing stuff when you get to high school, because it could go either way. You could be a perfect A student in elementary, middle school, then high school. There's so many other social factors that play in. Now, you may have to work and pick up some slack to start, maybe buying your own stuff to help out your parents, or if you're in a single parent situation. Also, you start dating, seriously dating, and it's always heartbreak city and different things. Then there's more access to drugs, and you primarily start probably drinking and stuff like that, going to parties and stuff when you're in high school. So it's a world of things that come at you, but I don't know. At the middle school level, it's getting bad. It's getting big with those gummies, those laced up gummies that these kids are taking. They out of control. It's getting bad. But y'all don't really know this stuff unless unless your kid is impacted, but y'all don't know the day-to-day things that goes on in schools like that on a regular basis, even at the middle school level. Y'all don't know about your daughter or your son in the bathroom getting it in, having sex and stuff like that on a regular basis, whatever, because you know why? They have access to cell phones to say, I'm about to get a pass from my teacher. Let's go down here, get ask for your teacher a pass. And then of course, the teachers don't know all this stuff. Then next thing you know, they rocking and rolling. They rocking it and they filming it too, putting out videos and all that stuff. But y'all don't know that. Y'all ain't hear that from me though. This is confidential information.
I man, I don't question any of it because I've seen iterations of that type of behavior, and I was like I said, I dealt with I think there was seventh and eighth grade, the same as you, and I was just floored with some of the behavior. Like, I mean, I go back to when I was in middle school. They call it preparatory here in Niagara Falls, and half the stuff that they talk about wasn't even on my radar. It just wasn't. And the worst thing that that we did in that age, and when I say we, I'm talking about people in my age demographic, was Zima. And if you remember Zima, that was all the rage with the high school
crap.
kids.
Straight crap.
it was all the rage with the high school kids. You find somebody who hook you up. You walk into first period or homeroom or in the school with a bottle of Sprite. Nod, wink, wink. By second period, you exhibiting signs of intoxication, and the teacher was just saying he was just drinking Sprite. Nah, teach. Somebody put you on. He was drinking Zima. Zima, what's Zima? Zima's that malt beverage that looks like soda water with a kick. And just like David said, y'all don't know because our parents didn't know. They weren't knowledgeable about it. And now this stuff proliferates because, like David said, they have access to this. Stuff spreads literally at the speed of light. I mean, there's a rash of cartas going on, and I guess they're specific to Kia. And apparently there's a TikTok challenge with teens being able to steal cars.
Or the Kia boys, whatever. I think them the older Kias that they could use like the cell phone chargers or something
Yeah,
like that to
yeah.
steal the cars. But I know when we connected with my cousins and stuff from Milwaukee, they were saying that it was big, the Kia boys, and I think it didn't hit Buffalo and all of those different areas. So that's what they do, and it's crazy. They still a lot of these kids steal cars, and their asses can't even drive. Then they in high speed chases with people and end up
Hmm.
freaking wrapping themselves around a damn pole, like the one
Hmm.
in Buffalo where the driver, what he killed like three or four people in the
I didn't
wasn't
hear
three or
about it,
four,
but it wouldn't surprise
yeah,
me.
yeah, three or four people end up dying, and I think he was like a 15, 16-year-old that stole the car. Like, man, we can go on and on with that. I do want because we're talking about education, the gender bias in education,
Hmm.
and I think Herb mentioned that the gender issue where you know certain subjects girls do better in, and certain subject boys do better in. And then you look at sometimes behavior wise, teachers may have sort of their favorites, or if you're a boy that constantly likes to play fight, get into it, get suspended, come back, you're going to deal with issues based on that because you're going to already
Hmm.
be labeled. So no
Hmm.
matter what you do when you come in that class, teachers talk, so
Yeah.
you're going to always be. So the first thing you do, and it could be something simple, and it's a lot to that because that's why it's important also for boys to get out and kind of uh get their adrenaline going like a recess, run around, be able to stand up and give them that time to kind of get that energy out. Because other than
Yeah.
that, you're gonna see them play fighting or slap boxing and stuff like that. Now, for me, if I was a teacher and they were doing it, I'm not gonna automatically be calling on a walkie, whatever, like it's a fight when the kids said we just playing. But we also know too that a lot of times you play and you get embarrassed in front of your peers, it leads to a real fight, whatever. So a lot of times when I see them playing in the hallway, I tell them, like, man, sit down somewhere, whatever, because none of y'all don't even look at your stance. I use it as an education
Yeah.
uh tool, whatever, to kind of
Yeah.
school them. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's how you really square up and stuff like that. But then if you think if it's a young Caucasian teacher that got her first job in an urban
She's not
school,
with
she's
that.
just happy to be working. She's gonna
Yeah.
be totally lost.
Yeah.
Like what are they doing? Like, oh my God, they were really about to fight. And then the other kids are saying they just playing. But she's calling down to the office for administrator to come get them, and then they end up getting suspended. And that's why they talk about the pipeline, the prisons, the
Yeah.
suspensions, and this the pipelines to prison and all that stuff. And that's the gender bias
Hmm.
things that happen with boys.
And that was something I didn't put on the list. And as soon as you said it, I was thinking about it. Yes, there's a serious lack of two things: male teachers and minority male teachers. And that was something that was glaring when I was doing my volunteer mentorship here. I think there was two minority male teaching assistants, one minority teacher, excluding admin, because they had a female minority admin. Matter of fact, she was the one that brought me in. No minority male teachers. Now, I know when I went to school, we had one, but he was an in-school suspension teacher. Mr. James made that gentleman so forever keep reaching, back and touching the students he came in contact with. I remember grad night, Darien Lake. For those of you who don't know what grad night is, grad night was a one night. I think it was Saturday night, where all of the local area high school students, the seniors anyway, went to a theme park in Western New York called Darien Lake. And I mean, this place was flooded with people. We're talking 4,000 or 5,000 students. I had like I said, my ride had left me there, and Mr. James, God bless his soul, gave me a ride home. Those simple things, that we were accustomed to having in our neighborhoods aren't there anymore. So you don't have somebody could just step in and whisper in the principal's ear and say, hey, look, they just boys being boys. They just being a little rambunctious. Let me talk to them. You bring them in the office and say, hey, look, I can't do that here. I know you playing, but they're not going to view you as playing. And because they don't understand the cultural ramifications, they're going to say, why do you do it? Why do you always, you're the only one that care? It's not that they don't care. They don't know enough. And that was one of the things, and I have my list here. And I wrote something down I think it bears reading. We say we want a better world. Do we really? Almost all of humanity behaves as if a turtle, meaning when we encounter something that makes us feel uncomfortable, we hide from it. How often do we seek out things that are outside of our culture, that are outside of our comfort zone, so we can grow? David always talks about this. He says sometimes in order to get comfortable, you have to get uncomfortable. But too many of us, doesn't matter what gender we are, what ethnicity or what culture we come from, we stay there. We never go outside there because it's too uncomfortable. If we want to grow, if we want our kids to grow, because the world that we inherited as kids is no longer here. Gender lines are becoming blurred. Cultural lines are becoming blurred. We are now moving literally into a global economy where, depending on your job, you could be sent to a different country where the culture is completely reversed, where personal space doesn't exist. So you can find yourself in a business meeting where people are consistently trying to get closer to you because that's a cultural norm, and you're gonna think they're crazy when you're the only one that behaves like that. This is why I always press upon people to learn another language. I talked about this during the pandemic. 2 years had people had the opportunity, because you only need 101 and 102 to really become proficient in learning any language. Had 2 years. That's 4 semesters to pick up another language or two languages or whatever the case it was. And I don't know if a lot of people did that. And I was saying, because I got to crack open my French books again and I got to get busy with my ALS. And now that football season is over, I'm going to spend some time trying to wow, look at me. I'm going to spend some time on my keyboard so I could become proficient at playing that, because that's something I want to do long term. I want to start creating spoken word pieces with my own music. So
one of the things I wanted to touch back on and go back to what you said about, I guess, the representation of black males in the school system. And for me, as a counselor, there's only a uh handful of shout out to people like Bruce Brundage and stuff like that, that was school counselors, that kind of made me see the vision to want to you know explore that career path. But I think I told this story before, and I remember working at Niagara Street Elementary, and I was going through my counseling program, and one of the this white guy, we was kind of cool. He was actually an intern. He was sharp, witty, young dude, but he was. I enjoyed talking to him, and he was like, "Man, here's one day we was just talking outside, like, I don't know, maybe during dismissal time or in the morning." He said, "David, man, you're gonna be able to paint your ticket." And then I said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "Man, you're like a golden child." He is like, "Do you realize that there's not too many black male counselors? For one, it's a predominantly female type of profession, and as a black man, your presence and as a counselor, you'll probably be able to get a job anywhere you want to." And when I started interviewing, it kind of manifested, but then it was like a lot of politics and stuff. And I
yeah,
think I mentioned this before. Like one school district, I interviewed 5 times, and I spoke with the coordinator of counseling, and she told me, she was like, "We're the eighth biggest school district in New York State, and we don't have any black male counselors." What? So you got black boys, but you don't have no one in that capacity. That's a travesty. But she didn't want to pull the trigger, and this was the Greece School District in Rochester.
hmm
She didn't want to pull the trigger on me because she said that they will say the only reason why you hired him was because he's black and he's a male. And I said, "You know what you could have told them? Post a resume with my resume, and that would shut that shit down." But of course, she could do that or whatever the case is. So I never got hired in that district. And then on other interviews I went through, some of the same things was coming up, that, "Oh man, we're really looking for a black male." But politics happen. Truth of the matter is, I probably should have been still in Niagara Falls School District, whatever. That was supposedly going to be set up, but again, politics, whatever, killed that. And so that led me to relocate to come down to um, Maryland and interview with two schools, and they both offered me the job, but I took the one where it was little little lighter on the less drama, especially after relocating. So it's important to have representation. And then even when I aspired to get into leadership, at one point in time, now we have the I don't know where we are now, 24th, 25th biggest school district in the country. I was at one time, I was the only black male department chair in the district. It was just me. So it was a bunch of white women, some black, few black women, and then me. So as you can see, the representation isn't always there. So those gender biases will always be an issue in education as well. So don't want to keep belaboring the point, but we're just trying to touch on, give you a little something.
Yeah, I have affirmative action listed down here, and when you hear about affirmative action, people that don't know always think it's about black males getting jobs. For people who do not know, and you can verify this independently, affirmative action, ever since they put in Title IX, has benefited explicitly, more so than any other group, Caucasian females. So if you're wandering around your political circles, your employment circles that are government funded in some way, shape, or form, that's why you see more of them there than you do anyone else. It's the old adage in the movie made by the book, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle Rules the World. That's why that power is consolidated. That's why it becomes important. And I don't want to get into politics, even though that's something that needs to be talked about. That's why it's important, vitally important, to be involved in, if you're not going to do anything else, at least locally. So your school board, your city council or aldermen, your representatives at the state, county, and your federal level, because they are going to determine so much for the future in the place that you live.
So, and there's other stuff about the gender stuff, like the pay wage, the gender gap in pay, racism, and things of that nature that we can address and speak on. We do have another segment which is relationship based. That usually, because it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. That stupid shit that y'all be sweating, whatever. One of the dumbest things in history. But I don't know. I just don't know why people can keep getting hoodwinked with the same old stuff over and over, and really get emotionally involved with that. Like, I don't know, they trying to make money off of y'all. Yeah, I don't get it. Nobody don't tell me when the hell to go out and buy something. I buy it when I feel like it, or when I just do it randomly because I'm out somewhere and said, she'll like this. Right. She'll appreciate this.
Right.
Out of nowhere. Y'all so scripted and so robotic. It's so slave trained that they can tell y'all whatever, and y'all get hoodwinked to believe it. Excuse my language, wake the fuck up, people, for real. Nobody gonna tell me February 14th is the day of love.
I had to ask somebody. It's funny you say that. I had to ask somebody when it was, because I don't celebrate it. To me, it doesn't exist. I make it known. It does not exist. Valentine's Day, what's that? It's the day. Oh, yeah, no, I don't celebrate that. It's like Christmas. I don't celebrate that. I'd acknowledge it because I get paid time and a half, but other than that, it doesn't exist for me.
And if you want to think about it, it always set a negative tone. Even when you was in elementary school, you would get those pack of cards, and your favorite people would get the best cards. Then you would have like the random shitty cards that you would give to people, and certain people would end up with a bunch of those shitty cards. Eh, as it always set a negative thing that hurt people feelings. So it does more hurting people feelings than bringing love, because as a youngster you're like, well, oh, she gave you that with the big heart and all of that stuff, and this is what I got. You're a swell pal. Happy Valentine's Day. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And that's how, and we talked about this earlier. That's how the peer pressure starts. That's how it starts. And for some people, they never can escape it. And the psychological games or the psychological disadvantage is not even a game at that point. The psychological disadvantage that it can have, particularly if that student can't go home and have somebody address it so it doesn't become a burden to them. Because let's look at it. If you're a marginally attractive student and the only thing you have going for you is academics, and you get to high school, so you're not inclined to sports, you're marginally attractive, and the only thing you have go for you is academics, you're going to sail right through high school and nobody's going to notice unless you finish in the top 10 of your class. Because that's the only time they get recognition. Maybe on the honor roll if they read those names at 10 in the morning like they used to do. I have no idea what they do now. But this is the only time those students get recognition. Now, if you play sports, you get people to cheer for you. Doesn't matter, what sport it is. I ran track and played football. People know you play football. Track, because we were doing so well the year I ran. People, I swear, I remember some years after graduation, high school graduation, I had this guy come up to me and say, hey, I remember you. I had no idea who the guy was. I said, man, you ran track for LaSalle. I said, yeah, we were pretty good. He said, nah, man. He said, you guys were good. You were damn good. Y'all beat our ass. Here's this dude heaping tons of attention on me, and I don't know. I said, man, thank you, man. I said, I was just doing what we like to do. We just like to run. There's some kids who never get that. And to receive that type of admiration from your peers, especially some years after graduation, it just reinforces that you did the right thing once in your life. Those kids that are well educated, soft spoken, well mannered, some of them never get that recognition. They're what we call late bloomers. And unfortunately, for a lot of Black males, they're not encouraged to be academically prudent. In other words, they're not pushed to be smart. They're not pushed to seek out education. They're pushed to seek out everything else Black culture has to offer, except for academic excellence. And then we wonder why the school to prison pipeline flourishes so well.
As you can see, it's a lot. And you have to go back and think about certain things that acceptance. So even when we think about that Valentine's theme, some people was cruel that, like Herbert said, like if you're attractive girl or attractive boy and you dress nice and all that stuff, you're gonna get the better Valentine's cards. But if you're someone they consider a little dusty, or not that smart, or not socially inept like other people, you're gonna get the bare minimum. And we start that off at a young age, putting those messages out there to kind of. I never understood the purpose of it. We used to go along with it. Tell my mother, "Oh, we got to get cards. We got to fill out cards for Valentine's Day and stuff like that." And you would have to go through and kind of sort it out. Okay, she gets this card. Okay, she kind of cute. She gets this card. Oh, he's a cool dude, so he gets this card. No, I don't really like this dude, so he get that. So we're always gonna be separated, and people are gonna look at stuff, and a lot of times it's based on looks and appearance. And I've spoken on this before, even about job interviews and stuff like that. Sometimes after you walk out, people, the committee, they may look at it depending on men or women, how many on the committee. They may have the decision may be based on something trivial
Mhm.
and not your Harvard degree or your 3.8 GPA 3.9. So there's a lot of slick going on, people. Y'all need to wake up. Like seriously, whatever. You better wait. Some people may be content because they have their little jobs and they work them and they work them and they don't desire to do anything different. But for people trying to be movers and shakers, it's a lot of stuff that goes on. We got Jackie in here. How you doing?
Is she muted?
Yeah, I muted myself. Blessed evening, Kings. I was just getting ready to actually text that. Blessed evening, Kings. How are both of you doing?
Hey,
We
doing
good,
well.
good. We good. Just talking. We just
I know it's good to hear the talk, so I am here.
all
And I
Good.
right.
might be coming on kind of late myself, but I'll tell you about that off the air.
Mhm.
All right, no problem. No problem. No worries. Sometimes you
Yep.
pop in, pop out. You got,
Yep.
you got other responsibilities. Glad to
Absolutely.
have you
Yep.
for a female perspective. And we were talking about the gender biases, but I think we wanted to. I wanted to shift focus because, like I said, it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. So I wanted to shift focus on the stages of relationships and the seasons for relationships.
Mm, mm,
So to begin the stages, the first one was the merge. That point where two people merge together, the honeymoon stage. Everything is good. Yeah, blowing up each other phones. You know, you're hanging out, you're smiling, you're laughing, and you're like, yo, this is the one right here. She the one.
uh,
He the one. And you know, that's all good. That honeymoon stage. But then you hit, the other stages. But I want to let y'all chime in on that honeymoon stage before we get into the doubt and denial stage.
You know what? For me, I don't think the honeymoon stage should ever end. And I know people are gonna say, "What the hell does that mean?"
yeah, please. What does it mean?
They say you should never stop dating the person you're with, and I agree.
Yeah.
The things that you started doing when you first met this individual,
Uh-huh.
continue to do.
Hmm.
I know when people get married, kids get in the way, jobs get in the way, all this stuff gets in the way. Everything gets in the way except the one thing. That's enjoyment. Why do you, and I know David's gonna laugh when I say it, football season's over.
It's
Yeah, we all
over.
going laughing.
Yeah, yeah. You're taking
I
away
thought
five,
about
six
you too.
months. You're taking
Yo,
away
I
about half of the damn year
I thought
on
about
the
him too
weekend.
after the game. I was like, Lord have mercy. I can see him now. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I call my therapist up. I say, hey, look, I need some time.
Uh-huh. But that was a good game, though. I mean, for real, I was rooting for the Eagles myself. For real, for real.
Oh,
I
let
was
me ask you
like,
this
hey,
question because this is something we spoke about at the top of the broadcast. Where did you watch it at?
at home
Who was there?
myself.
Hmm.
You missed out on one of the largest social engagements of the year.
What?
The Super Bowl in the United States of America, I can only speak for the US, is one of the biggest social functions of the year. People that don't know anything about football, can't stand football, they cook, they prepare dishes. Is the unofficial Thanksgiving.
I get it. I've been a part of stuff, but I wasn't invited anywhere, so I just was like, okay, I'm watching it at home.
Oh, and I understand that. Let me ask you this question: why not invite people if you can stand that company at your home and you're willing to open your house to quote unquote strangers? Why not create a party? You like to cook?
Hmm. I actually, my specialty is baking and cooking. Everything that I do, like I make gourmet cheesecakes. I
Oh,
just made it. Yeah, what's today? Monday. So I made it on Saturday night, and it was ready Sunday. And then I made some chocolate covered strawberries with white chocolate and regular brown chocolate.
could have hosted a wine tasting. See, people, when I
See, you
tell you
play
these,
too much. You play too much. You play too much. You don't pay for that. Listen, I'm coming to your house next. You play too much. I'm gonna be at your house talking about wine tasting. I'm gonna be right there. You play too much. Put it out there. Come on. Unless
Okay,
you gonna do
heard.
it, don't put it out
Yeah,
there. Unless you gonna do it. Wait a minute. We gonna
yeah,
talk off the air. Where you live? I think you live near me. You
but
play too
Dave,
much.
but isn't that what I said, Dave?
yeah.
Uh huh. Well, guess what? We having it at your house with the wine tasting. I got some Cooper Hawk wine too to add to that one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let you talk.
I'm no, but when I say because people they we have lost the sense of how to be hosts and hostesses. We have lost what it means to be people who can actually throw a party, host an event. And I don't know why. I'm
Well, I
funny
think
about
it's
my
the
house.
day.
Say it
I
again.
think it's the I think it's the time that we're in now. It's like after
Yes.
COVID. I think so much has changed because back in the day I used to do different things like, just make dinners for people just because I appreciate them and wanted to show them that they matter and stuff like that. And just even with the cheesecake, I just made it for my family and different things like that. I don't really it's really odd because I used to always have little family dinners and always used to be with friends who always had functions. Oh my God, Super Bowl was always at this one girl's house, and we'll be playing spades and afterwards, and it'll be an all night thing until the
You
next
can, but see,
day.
this is what I'm talking about. You can do all of that. Let's look at it like this. Let's say we gonna start Super Bowl festivities at 3 o'clock sharp. There's gonna be some spades games going. I'm gonna lay
Mm.
out some cake. I'm gonna lay out some cookies. We're gonna have some people do this. We're gonna have some people do this.
I'll bring some jerk chicken, some curry chicken, some a cheesecake, and I'll
Look,
bring
you,
some
you
whatever
said the
else I
right
make.
thing.
Okay.
When this shit going down?
I'll make it all and bring it, boo. We ain't talking about no cake and cookies. You can have that. I will add to the cookies and the cake with
I
some
want that
real
meat. I want
food.
that meat.
Hello, protein with the sugar, okay?
But
And the
see, that's what I'm
wine.
saying. All this stuff, and then think about it. You gonna get people that are coming. They gonna come for the food, but most of them are gonna watch that game.
This for the game, yeah. Game
Well, no,
starts,
I'm saying
food is
because,
eaten.
like I said, the reason why it's the biggest social engagement of the year is because you have people that don't watch any other football game except the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
So
people, you can have your hardcore fans, You can have the casual fans. You can have
Mhm.
women. And I talked about the kids. You can have somebody
Mhm.
who's designated that don't maybe not want to watch the game. Have them supervise the kids and play board games. Sorry, Pop 4, Connect 4, whatever other games that people bring. You can have all of that contained under one roof. And you know what people are going to say? I had a damn good time. Yo, the food was on point. The drinks was on point. The game was magnificent. People are going home. You know what they're going to remember? I wonder if she's going to do it again this year. So now you've not only have you created an atmosphere where people feel safe, you've created a must-attend event. People are going to show.
Yeah,
And
while your pockets get light.
no, but this is the thing though. See, we always focus on money, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can say, "Hey, look, this year I want an individual to contribute $10, or in lieu of the contribution of $10, I'll give you an item that you can make, you can bring." Like I said, if people want to test how good a cook they are, put your stuff up there on the shelf and let people go for it. If it rocks, it rocks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You got to step your game up. We have a gentleman here. I forgot his name just that quick, who was on the show with Chef Ramsay. Um, Bobby Anderson. Shout out to Bobby Anderson. Got a
BA.
store down the street from where I live at. Him and
Yeah.
my homegirl. They are doing work in this city. She's making big names. Shout out to Denise Scott. Do something with the talents that you have as an individual. You write poetry, go to a spoken word night. You play an instrument, find somebody that you can play for, and y'all get out and do something.
See,
Uh, Go ahead, Dave.
and one of the things is sometimes we have that dying breed that when our grandparents that used to do that. I mean, we used to meet at my grandmother's house. Then when they passed, but somebody has to be able to take the torch,
Mm-hmm.
take the torch of the family. So then we wonder why families are not connected anymore
Yep.
because nobody takes that torch. And I'll,
Hey, man.
she get on my nerves and everything, but my sister and my cousin, they do an excellent job for the younger generation. You've been over to some of our functions,
Yeah.
Herb,
Yep.
that
Yep.
they put something together and
They put their foot in it.
everything is great. And shout out to them for taking that to keep us together because a lot of times we fall in that mode of I'm just gonna stay at home and do whatever we do, and significant time goes by because for some foolish thing in our head we think time is forever.
Mm-hmm.
We think everything is promised, but as you see, athletes and different people dying in their mid 50s, 60s. Ain't supposed to be like that. It's
Mhm.
not supposed to be like that. So every opportunity you should embellish and say, this is what we need to do. Just add another notch into your belt for memories. Because
Mm-hmm.
memories is what keep you going. If you don't have memories with somebody, excuse my language again. I know Jackie, you probably like, he
It's
cuss too
okay.
much, but
You're good.
what the fuck do y'all got to talk about after
Right.
the fact if you don't got good memories? Memories is everything, even in dating and all that stuff. Remember we went here and we was cracking up at
Yep.
such and such. You
Yep.
can talk about that stuff for hours.
Yeah.
Ad lib with it or whatever the case is. You don't create those type of moments. You might as well just ball up under a cover in a fetal position and let the day pass by.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. That spawned this. Don't stop dating each other. And I know this has been mentioned before, but for guys, if you had kids, depending on what their age is, you got somebody that's you can trust with your kids. Don't tell her anything other than there's a box at home. If you're married or if you cohabitate with your significant other, say, look, I want you home, no excuses, at 5:30 sharp. There's a box on the bed. I want you to wear that.
Okay.
I know that's right.
We
Chat
going
about.
out.
Chat about. Come
I ain't
again,
asking no
Bridget.
questions. We
Come
going
back,
out.
selector. Come back, selector. Rewind and come back again, selector. Come
Wear
again with that
that.
statement.
Wear that.
Whew.
Wear that. Wear that. But see, we've gotten to a point to where we have allowed life to dictate to us, and we don't dictate to life. And the thing about it is, what are you living for? Just like David said, every time I go out on an outing, it's because I want to create memories. Even if I have to go by myself, I still want to create memories. Like I said, I went to the Yankees game in Cleveland. Now, I've always wondered, how they get people to partake in rolling out banners and doing things in the stadium. I got a taste of that firsthand. I remember getting in the C-suite. They had ushers sitting in the top row. They had the top row vacant. And they were asking people, hey, do you want to participate in this? What? We're going to roll out this banner. And the banner literally comprised an entire section. If you watched, I think it was game 4 of the ALDS between Cleveland and the Yankees in Cleveland, Progressive Field. I was sitting up underneath there doing this with the banner. It was cool. I live streamed it, but you couldn't tell I was underneath the blanket because it was dark. I'll never forget that. Also, I'll never forget going to the Yankees game in Toronto. Ball hit right to me. I'm saying this ball is going to come to me. I didn't stand up. And all my stupidity, because I know the drill, I sat there. Dude stood up next to me. Ball bounced, fell right down in front of me. Person in front of me got it. I said, ain't this about nothing? I'm standing here with the opportunity. You always live to catch a fly ball. I had a chance to get it, didn't stand up. If I'd have stood up, I'd have got it. There's no question in my mind. But those are memories. Why are we living if we're not collecting memories? I don't know. But don't stop dating the person you're with. I like karaoke. I remember shout out to the karaoke king and his brand. You know who you are.
Oh, hump.
Yes, sir. There's a place in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I think it was Tuesdays. They used to do karaoke, man, and that place was packed. You had people up there that were phenomenal. I mean, absolutely good at karaoke. I don't know if they can actually sing any other songs other than what they were singing. No, because the beautiful thing about karaoke is this. 2 things actually, from what I've discovered, is if you can carry a tune and you practice a song enough, you can sing that song very well. I remember one night, Main Street, this is some years ago, I did Billy Joel's She's Always a Woman to Me. It's a song that I love. And I can carry that harmony well. And I kid you not, there's a female that's sitting right here next to her boyfriend. And I swear if I'd have shot my shot, she'd have gave me the digits. That's how well I performed that song.
Mm.
But you have people that are too scared to do something outside of their comfort zone. I talked about that earlier when I read the prepared piece. Because people don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to make a fool of themselves. Wait a minute. You don't want to be embarrassed. You out having fun. Anybody that clowns you for having fun is somebody you don't want to be around. I'll tell you that now. I'll say it again. If you are having fun and you do something that draws attention to yourself and is not the greatest of things, but your intent was to have fun and you having fun with the people you with, you golden. You don't need to pay attention to nobody else.
I
You
think
don't want those people in your circle.
I think Outcast, and I know Jalen Rose said sometimes you got to get out, and you said it to her. Sometimes you got to get out and get something. You
Yeah.
got to get out and do something. Just
Mm.
got to. You got to take chances. You got to take risks. Uh, Too many people want to be restricted by certain things. Oh, we're just no. We're co-workers. We can't do this. We can't do this. And one of my boys always said, "My job ain't my fucking daddy. Ain't my damn daddy. It ain't my daddy, whatever. I'm a grown man. I dictate whatever." And it's about having self-control and the wherewithal to not put everything out there. But no job's gonna stipulate to tell me who the hell I can interact with or how I can interact with them, whatever. Uh, Especially if it's civil and it's good conjugal conversation. That's where it's at. We we got severe issues. We got severe issues, man. And again, like Herb said, it's about creating memories. It's about creating laughter, and that keeps the stress away. Uh, Laughter is therapeutic. Laughter is probably the eighth wonder of the world, the ability to laugh. It is nothing
Yep.
better than being around people that you just constantly laugh till your stomach hurt. That's like exercise too, because you just the involuntary movements that with good laughter nonstop. That's great. We have to get back to those times and having that ability to laugh and enjoy each other. But there's so much toxic stuff going on that people just don't know how to do it. Or either they see. I'm one like to do stuff on a small spectrum, like
Yeah.
you get with your people on a small level and all that stuff. But a lot of times people want to be showcased, bring it to something else. Then you have one bad person that come in there, and then that's the person want to shoot up a spot.
Yeah.
And everybody like, yeah, we were having such a good time. Everything was going well. Don't know what happened. Nah, I like to be in little small pockets of people that I enjoy and appreciate. And to me, those are the best times.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Jodeci was in town this past weekend. Flooded. The place was flooded. And I seen the picture of Elon. Elon at the concert. Hard to mistake Elon McCracken, boy, but people were there having a time. I mean, I'm a firm believer in people creating the best and also the worst for themselves, mainly because they're too beholden to what other people think of them. Me, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. If I got to ride my bike somewhere, guess what? I'm going to ride my bike somewhere. If I got to walk somewhere, I'm going to walk somewhere. If I got to rent a car to get somewhere, I'm going to rent a car to get somewhere. You know why? Because I'm all about the event.
So, like, we talked about the stages of relationship. We talked about the merge, the honeymoon stage, and you said you believe that the honeymoon stage should never end. It
Right.
shouldn't end. You should. Some couples have. Oh, we have a dating night. Date night a couple times a month or whatever the case is, where you get dressed, you go out, and you kind of rebrand yourself. You keep it going. You keep it live. You look at her. You look at him. And you're like, damn, she's still fine as hell to me, or whatever the case is, and you enjoy each other. A lot of times it just becomes whatever. Yeah, okay, we'll go here, we'll go there. You got to keep that laughter in place. And I know, like we said, everybody has busy lives. Everybody has stress levels. They have things, and after a long work week, you just say, "I just want to chill." I fall into that mode sometimes.
Mhm.
But you got to be able to again have that laughter, because if you're relying on them, weekends go by so damn fast
Yeah,
that
they
it
do.
don't even make no sense. Whatever. Then you back into the grind again. So you got to have that. So again, you start off with that merge, one of them stages. Then you go into doubt and denial when certain situations happen. Maybe you're not going out as much. Maybe something was said or something was posted on social media that puts doubt in somebody's head. Now, now you're dealing with bickering back and forth. What's y'all take on that stage, the doubt and denial stage?
Well, you got to look at how people went into it in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
the honeymoon stage is fine, but people got to think about the reasons why they won't go into a relationship. Are you going into it to commit to the relationship, or are you going into it just to just ease whatever that itch is or scratch whatever that itch? Um, my thing is, if a person goes into it, if two people go into it wanting to be together, they are going to work on the relationship to stay together.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when people come together over a holiday or stuff like that, a lot of times it's just we have to look at the mindset, the emotional mindset, the spiritual mindset of that person. When you get into stuff like that, because during holidays and during stuff like Valentine's Day, it will make a lot of people who are alone make bad, poor decisions,
Yeah.
and sometimes they actually uh, become haters of themselves, sometimes to a degree where they shut down and want to isolate. But the thing is, people today, there's a lot of pain out here. There's a lot of people that's walking around in pain.
Agreeable.
And right now, I just feel like we need more love out here. And a lot of people need to start working on themselves before they connect with other people. Because a lot of times when two broken people come together, just because of an emotional holiday or whatever, um, sometimes it won't last because they won't spend the time to get to know each other. So then when the true people start coming out, instead of conversation, then you have the bickering. Then you have, oh, I don't like this anymore. I don't like that. What did I do? All the questions of why and how can I run away from this? And, oh, I
Hmm.
didn't know this. But the fact of the matter is, when people get together, they don't know each other. And if you can't stomach someone's stuff, right? Then before sex comes in the picture, before all of that, you should find that out before you even do that. So you wouldn't have to stay or be stuck in a relationship that you want to feel like you want to argue and fight and go through. So if you notice, when people actually have a relationship and they grow communi- just communicating, they grow within that realm first. You don't find that much friction, and you won't find a lot of stuff that it can tackle, or even talk about and overcome. So I just relationships for Valentine's Day, stuff for Valentine's Day. I don't usually do things on Valentine's Day at all. I don't think I've ever done anything on Valentine's Day. I just like for me, certain things, certain pagan holidays, I just don't really partake, even though people may acknowledge me on that day or whatever, and they say, "Hey, happy Valentine's Day," or whatever. I'm like, "Hey, that's what's up," but I'm sorry, or same to you, or you know. But some people make it more significant. But after that day is over, they go back to whatever and whomever they
Yep.
are, the chameleon that they are. And so I just feel like these connections on these days just it's not helpful if it's not something that you want to prolong or persist with or even continue with having that person, like that person in your life to stay. Don't do that.
like I
Don't
said,
do.
it's too scripted to begin with. You're you you're out here looking for cards. Everybody, you know, depending on the lateness of you go, you end up with a BS card and all that stuff. The key thing is the random surprise things when you weren't even expecting it. You had
Mhm.
the worst. You had a horrible day, and you come back and like, damn, she got you this. Was thinking of you. Like, damn, this just made my day. This just killed
Mhm.
everything that I was struggling with before, out of the blue.
Mhm.
The scripted stuff, whatever, like, okay, this is the day. Then, of course, tomorrow you got to see everybody. Oh, I got these at my job and all that stuff. You and 100 other people got the same thing. Like
Mhm.
you're not. That's not special. Uh, but I guess the need to feel special and to be accepted and to fit amongst your peers is what drive a lot of people. I don't care about that shit. I don't care about none of that stuff. And to be honest, I don't even care like far as my birthday and all that stuff. Just happy to
Yeah.
be living or
Hmm.
whatever the case is. If things don't jump, if my birthday fall on a Monday, it's not the end all be all, or something was going on during that time, and you say, you know what, we're gonna celebrate your birthday, and it's now August. So be it. I'm
Hmm.
okay with that.
Hmm.
It doesn't make a. I don't want to be that person that fall into a scripted thing like somebody controls and tells you the parameters that you got to enjoy your life. That's that's not cool to me.
So you view it that way?
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter whatever. If somebody said, even if you were dealing with somebody, you got an initial relationship, and they say, baby, I really don't got it this month. A lot of stuff going on, but we gonna get back. We gonna celebrate your birthday. We gonna do it up big. If it happens a couple months later, that's fine. That's fine. Nobody really
Yeah.
got to know because it's between us.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's fine. I was just asking if you saw it that way. What I was referring to is that the control part of your statement. Um, you know, you stated that you don't want anyone, or anything controlling your life that way.
Yeah.
Um, so that was what I was referring to.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
part.
So yeah, that I wholeheartedly like dictating things like the Mother's Day and all that stuff. That's game. That's cap. That's just hustle. Whatever. For people to fall into that, and we understand why. Like Father's Day doesn't get the big publicity like Mother's Day and all that stuff. Whatever.
Hmm.
I don't subscribe and get caught up in that stuff. Y'all not
And the
tricking me.
thing, right, and the thing is, it's all this money making scheme that they do, and I understand that. A lot of people fall for it because a lot of people just don't honor their whomever in their lives enough. So when those times come up, that's the only time that they may drop off a gift, stop by. So for them, it's not a relationship; it's just a thing to do to show respect, right? So the holiday, I think most of these holidays, except for Thanksgiving, um, I just believe that it's just this money making thing. I believe that like Thanksgiving is a time where it brings a lot more people together than you would see during the year, especially when people move out of town and different things like that. So, in that aspect, that's the only thing I would splurge on when it comes down to time, food, money, because I'm able to just kick my dishes up a notch or two, and incorporate whatever everybody's showing off their cooking skills in a way, and it's like a lot of just togetherness. So, but the other stuff, I just believe that people are born into it. They're born into this, and it goes from generation to generation. So they make sure that people, are now what, captivated, or not even captivated. What's the word I'm looking for? Brainwashed, maybe. That's probably the word.
Definitely
Mr. Wolf, is
brainwashed.
that the word I'm looking at?
It could be. I'm not sure. I will say
I
this. I
think
will ask
so.
you. I will ask you this question. You
Okay.
mentioned Thanksgiving, and I'm going to tackle Thanksgiving specifically.
Okay.
What is at the core of every American Thanksgiving celebration?
Food.
Mm-mm.
Say
What
football.
do you mean at the core?
There
He
you
mentioned
go.
the togetherness. What did he say? Is it a
Football.
togetherness? Football.
Football.
Oh, snap, crackle, and pop. You know what's interesting
All
that you said
day.
football? But here's the thing, right? Not in all households. So before okay, so
You're
by
correct.
me being Jamaican, we watch soccer, we watch horse racing, boxing. This is us, right? And of course track and field and all this
Yes.
great stuff, right?
Hmm.
So everything in our country has to help. So now once we're here, of course we're learning about all these different holidays and then we
Hmm.
start participating. But there
Hmm.
was never like in Canada, Boxing Day is our Thanksgiving, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but anyway, that would be the gathering, like you would say sports. But we didn't do it over here. We didn't. We'll watch it, but we didn't like. It wasn't a gathering for sports around the food until it's like we started watching American football. So then, of course, we became Bills Mafia for real, and even my mama is a Bill. So anyway, anyway, that's
Oh, she dropped off. Oh, she must have had it. And then I picked up where she left off. What she's talking about is what I was talking about earlier. She came to a different culture and assimilated into that culture. Now, I've never been a part of a culture to where football on its, on Thanksgiving wasn't the centerpiece. And it would be interesting for me to actually go to another place where that's not the case. It would be odd, but it would be interesting. I'm open to that. So you mentioned track and field. As many of you know, I ran track in high school and in college. I would be at home in a place where they do sports. A lot of people don't do sports, and and I always think, for me personally, I think for people that don't have some like of sports in their life, I think they're missing something. I think they're missing a component of what makes this country unique from other countries. Let's go to Europe. There's two main sports in Europe. Of course, one is soccer, the other is cricket. For those of you who have never heard of the game cricket or have never seen it, watch it. I've watched some cricket matches. I've tried to make sense of them. I'm lost. I'm completely lost. I watch, I try to pick up something here, try to pick up something there, but I'm still lost. But that don't mean I'm not going to stop trying. And sometimes this is what we have to do. We have to keep trying. We have to keep pushing through certain things. I'm not saying you have to push through everything. Some things that if they aren't your cup of tea, you leave them alone. But far too often as people, we get caught up in what other people think. Case in point, let's say, and I recommend this to people. I would say pull out a 3x5 card, write down 10 things or 10 date ideals that you have. Make it your goal to do one of those a month. The reason why I say 10, and I know there's 12 months, is to give yourself some wiggle room in case you have a conflict of things where you can't make them all. You don't want to put undue pressure on yourself. It doesn't matter if you do all those things with one person, five people, or one person, every opportunity you can. Create an experience. Find somebody that you want to do it with. Find somebody that they may want to do something. You might have something on your list that you're unsure about. You might want to go skydiving. You've never done skydiving before. Find somebody and say, hey, look, I'm looking for a partner to go skydiving. We all use social media. Put it out there. I think this would be an excellent first date. We go skydive, we go have a meal, we go do putt golf, we go do whatever. Create an experience for yourself. Create a memory. That way, those moments that come up where there's some issues, you can say, you know what? We can get by this one because next week we got something planned. So you're always going to have those situations in your relationship where there's some conflict. The key is to minimize those conflicts. You got two imperfect people coming together to try and form something as perfect as they can. And things happen. You get clashes, you get misunderstandings. So the question becomes, do you want to perpetuate the hardship or do you just want to minimize it? You want to deal with it, say, hey, look, this is where we went wrong. So we know next time this comes to pass, we know how to deal with it. And all of a sudden now, what was an impediment becomes a strength. We have too many people that are willing to blow up something great because of something small. That was one thing I never understood. I'm not that type of person. Years ago, I would have been dependent on what it is. There's just some things I'm willing to walk away for because I realize it's not worth my peace of mind. But that's why I don't always get involved with everybody I come across. I realize some people I'm better off being just friends with. And then I realize that some people I can bridge that gap with. You're not going to be able to bridge every gap with everyone. And the best thing for you to do is recognize that early. They say people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It's up to you to determine what that is.
Yeah. So we were at the doubt and denial stage, and then stage 3, and these are stages of relationships. Then there's the disillusionment stage, and that's when you have the full blown arguments. Issues are obvious, negative energy, because a lot of times with that is, I think many people get other people involved in that, and they kind of soup it on or whatever the case is. So, remember, you went from the honeymoon stage, then you start, something happened, then you start having doubt or denial. And that could be from previous relationships, like, oh, he said something or he did something that remind me of Melvin. So so now I gotta view him the same way. And then it ends up into the disillusionment stage where now shit is just full blown. I just going at it, and you can't understand, like, damn, we was good. Everything was good. And then it filters into the decision that you have to make that decision. Like, damn, do I want to carry on with this? Man, at one point I was happy. I was content. But now you're contemplating leaving, or you're entertaining someone else. But it's all a revolving door. You're going to go through these stages with every individual. And if you don't, you may skip some stages, but sometimes that's why stuff ends abruptly, that you don't go through the process. You go to the honeymoon stage, and all of a sudden one thing happened, or something minor. Then next thing, nah, we ain't together no more. What? Y'all was always together, seem happy, or whatever the case is. What happened? That's why it's a process, and it's stages to that. So then, you make the decision, and then eventually stage 5 is the wholehearted love, where that you've been through things, you went through the battle, you fought through it. Those memories kept y'all together, and y'all say, you know what, we passed that stage. We can make a run at it. We over that, and you keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So those will be the stages of relationships: the merge, the doubt and denial, the disillusionment, the decision whether to stay or go, and then the wholeheartedness. Like, yo, we've been through this. We've been together too long to end it. I'm not about to start over and do something with somebody else to have to go
Right.
through this. When I know you, you know me. We work well together. We had some issues, but I'm not trying to lead this. But if some people jump around and they think they going again, I always talk about chasing that silver bullet till they end up in a major catastrophic situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I suppose that's why the older I get, the less tolerance I have for people who aren't willing to work on certain things. I would be a fool to expect perfection. I want effort. That's all I want. Show me effort, we can work. We'll make it work because we have to, we need to, in order for things to keep progressing. And I'm always going to move forward, regardless of what life throws at me, because I don't know how to move backwards. I just backwards is not in me. I don't know what that is. I'm moving forward. I got to because time marches on, and time's not leaving me behind.
Jackie, you with us?
I am.
So we kind of talked about the stages of relationships, and I think everybody you're gonna go through those. You're gonna go through stages. It's a
Mhm.
process, and I think sometimes people hit a bump in the road. They're ready to toss it all in and thinking because everybody want to be in that honeymoon stage.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to be at that point, but don't realize it's going to be some tough times that you got to work through. And if you always think you're going to be in a honeymoon stage and you don't want to face those tough times, then you're just going to keep doing that shit. You're going to be somebody 40, 50, 60. Yeah, talk to somebody 3, 4 months, over with. Then the next person come on. Then the next person come on. Then your ass dead. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm just giving it to you how I see it, but that may be the case.
Yeah.
Now we gonna tackle this quickly. The seasons, and they call it other words, but we're gonna use what modern terms that people, some of them may not be, but everybody know about cuffing season, early fall to early winter. You know how I explain it. Early fall, when it start getting a little nippy at night, getting cold, and you want to find someone to cuff with, enjoy life with for that time. And sometimes with the cuffing season, you know damn well you're not gonna end up with that person. It's just somebody coming through, pulling up. But I think, and it says early fall, and this is what research said to early winter. I think for me, I think cuffing season extends longer than that. I think cuffing season for me, and people might look at it as a joke. I think with cuffing season, if you're a man and you're dealing with a woman and she got kids or whatever the case, sooner or later she's going to expect, okay, Christmas time coming. What you got on this layaway? What you got on this? And I think eventually he gonna get over his head and say, "Oh hell no." He's gonna find a way to get the hell out of there, go back to Mom Duke's house or his sister house, stay there, take a break, and then comes, the Valentine's, tax time. Then his ass gonna resurface. he
Mhm.
gonna resurface again.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it extends past. It goes into late winter too for some people. Then they call something winterizing, late fall to late winter, and according to that definition, is when people like they don't want to cuff, they just want to kind of hibernate. They want to kind of work on themselves, do a little self improvement, may spend the winter just relaxing, reading, doing projects, and getting off of social media, deleting their dating apps and all of that stuff, and just trying to find themselves. So I'm gonna stop at that point. I'm gonna let y'all chime in.
Mr. Glover, check your text messages. I just sent you the pictures of what I made. I don't know
Okay.
if you can show it or not.
No, I ain't that. Oh, damn! You
Not
put
that
in work.
savvy.
Yeah, you definitely put in work. Okay, I see.
And see, this is something that David and I was kicking around a couple weeks ago. Whether we want to do a meet and greet for the group in the city of Niagara Falls. So I'm gonna put this out there here, and I'm gonna also put this out there in the group. If anyone is interested, then just let us know. We'll see what we can put together.
That'll work. That'll work. Mhm.
See, he's
Well,
still. Now I'm laughing at uh Greg's comment. He said, "Dave, the smooth line was, man, I would love to take care of your body at the happy hour in Buffalo." Yeah, that smooth line worked. It worked. It did. It worked. It worked.
can you text it over to Mr. Wolf? That's gonna even be better. He'll get it straight from you.
Yeah, the question you had asked, Dave. I'm sorry, I was get caught up in doing something. You asked about the
No, I said we talked about cuffing season. Then I went into
oh, okay.
winterizing. So I said, "What's y'all take on all of that?"
I
Um,
I never got into it. I remember the first time I heard about it, I was thinking pants. It's only cups. I know pants, pants and French cups. But I understand the sentiment. People don't want to be left alone, I suppose. I I'm not putting myself out there like that. I think better of myself than to just look for a filler. Now, with that being said, if a man's running the rotation or if a woman's running the rotation, then keep that rotation. Some people, they're dating, they don't want to get physical with this individual, so they'll say, "Hey, this is my case of emergency break glass plan." Hey, I understand. I am not going to judge you.
Mm.
But what I would tell people, and I guess this is where the whole situationship comes from and things of that nature, stop complicating your life. Keep it simple. Let an individual know, and if that's what and if you want to partake in the and cuffing season, then this advice is not going to be for you. But let an individual know, hey, look, I'm getting long in the tooth. I want something that I can build, and I want somebody that I can build that something with. If you ain't that individual, cool. I might call you because you're good people. I might call you because I might want to go ice skating somewhere. I might want to go to a wine tasting somewhere. I want to go with somebody where I don't have to worry about an expectation of anything else. And we gonna go. We gonna have a good time. I come back home. We come back home. You go your way. I go mine. I think people have gotten to the point where and I know where this comes from, where every male female interaction has to end with sex. I'm going to offend some people and I don't give a damn. That's an immature way of thinking. If every interaction you have to have with another individual is driven by sex, then you still haven't developed, in my opinion only, as being a fully fledged adult. You know why? Because, and this has less to do with the amount of sex married couples have. There are sometimes as a married couple where you just want to enjoy the other's company. That's it. No more, no less. There are some times where I've had outings where, you know what? I'm glad to have seen you. I'm glad you're doing well. Let's do it again soon. That's why I was in my shows with that, because I want you to come back and listen to what we have to say next time. I don't expect anything out of anyone else that I'm not giving you. So you're giving me some time. Hopefully, I'm giving you some words of encouragement, some words of wisdom. That's the limit of my expectations for you. That's it. Far too often we place too many expectations on other people. And when they're not met, unrequited expectations, I've said that before, we're disappointed. Don't set yourself up for disappointment. Put it out there. If now I will say this. If you're in that mode of cuffing season and that's what you're looking for, like Ellen Roger Curry says, put it out there. Put it out there. Matter of fact, go get his books. If you don't have his books, go get his books. Start your library. Start your library or stock your library. It's good reading. It's informative. But make sure the individuals that you're dealing with knows what your expectation is. And if they can meet it, golden. And if they can't, let them go. Go find somebody who wants what you want. So y'all reading from the same book, same chapter, same page. You should have no problems. Your cuffs should be neat, crisp, and quiet. Don't let nobody know. I keep telling y'all, that's where y'all go wrong. Y'all want everybody to know what kind of cufflinks you're wearing. Whether you got French cuffs or pleats, keep your business out the streets. Keep it neat.
Anything you want to add
Oh,
to
shit.
that, Jackie?
Yeah, I was over here
Okay.
chuckling.
I
The
didn't
way
mean to
he
put
was
that in prose.
rhyming
It
it.
just came out like
Uh,
that.
yeah, it was rhyming, and I was like, okay, he on a roll. That's what's up. Keep it neat and clean. Keep your business out. I was like, okay. Yeah, well, I didn't know about cuffing season
Shit.
until here, but what's the
Goddamn.
matter? What's the matter, sir?
No, I'm looking at the picture you said. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yeah. Shit, yeah.
Oh, oh, what I made?
Yeah.
The cheesecake and, yes.
Hey, I'm just saying, with some jerk chicken, some
Yes,
cornbread, some
curry chicken.
greens, some cabbage,
Yes,
some some some
yes,
some homemade macaroni. Hey, look, man, you got a
yes.
party.
And guess what I forgot to say I made? Some lobster mac and cheese. Okay.
Hey, like I said, not to get off what we were talking about, but
Yeah,
this is the type of stuff that when you get a group of people together who want to do something, you be like, yo, can you give me the recipe for that? Can you make some for me? I'll pay you.
yeah. Do you know I ship my it's wow, we have different stuff, but I ship these to New York City too, and people down there live near Junior's Cheesecake and only want mine. Okay, so I
Yeah,
freeze them and I have to ship them down.
Because there's something different about there's an element of something made individually that you don't get from mass produced items. And being that a lot of people are trying to move into healthier alternatives, they want that because you're not dealing with all the preservatives. Because you know if you don't eat this stuff within a week, it goes bad. I was looking at a clip and it was showing, you know, people from the 1950s and what they were eating. And it was saying that people eat the same foods that we eat, but their health doesn't decline like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrator asked why. And they said maybe it's because of the quality of the food, which is something that most Americans don't think about because we're trying to feed so many that everything is mass produced. So you get a chicken that usually would have taken 6 months to get to market. It takes a fraction of that time. Hormones, all this other stuff. And then we wonder why the food we consume leads to us being unhealthy. Just something I wanted to add in there why people might want what you're making. And it's understandable. If I could take baked goods from home over store bought, I would do it every time. Every time.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I love to eat healthy, and the thing is too, the way things have changed within the food, what they're using to as pesticides and stuff to help these GMO stuff and all this stuff. It's a lot going on, and I think we need to all start growing our own vegetables if we can.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah. But I sent more to Mr. Glover, so he should be seeing them right now. The last cheesecake I made for someone, a Reese's cup cheesecake.
Yeah.
They like Reese's cup. Yeah.
Let's see.
So
You put
I
in work.
try to. Huh?
You put in work. You gonna mess around when I come there in a few weeks, whatever. I'm gonna be pulling up at your spot, and I'm gonna be
What?
leaving out with a to go. Man, that's a lot.
You know what's interesting, and I'll tell y'all something. Okay, I know that. Okay, you know Officer Bird from Judge Judy, right?
Her bailiff.
Yes, the bailiff. So he's from Buffalo. So I know him. We're friends. So it's so crazy. Every time he comes, before his mother passed, every time he comes back here, he has to have my chicken wings, my curry chicken wings, or my jerk wings, and he just listen. He drops off at the door. He's like, "Oh, they ready?" I'm like, "I got you. I got you." Yeah, people love my cooking. It's like I've always just been able to just cook. I mean, I'm Jamaican. I grew up in a house where there's a lot of cooking, and my dad is a great cook too. My mom is a great cook, but my dad, a man knows how to put their foot in a meal. I don't know. I just love the way men cook. But yeah. Anyway. Hmm.
Mess around. You gonna be adding me to that list.
What'd you
I
say?
was.
Say that again.
I can't hear somebody.
He said you can mess around and have you add his name to that list.
I know that's right. I don't have a problem with it. I do not have a problem with it. Trust me.
I will tell you my first foray into Jamaican food was when I started going to Toronto, and
Mm,
we would pull up to the food truck, especially when they had the parade on Saturday afternoons, and
okay.
the chicken patties.
Mm,
Yo, the chicken patties. Then we started getting the roadies, and then the red rice and
mm,
beans.
mm.
Yeah, people was getting their neck stepped on if you cut in line for that stuff. I
I
remember,
know.
I remember seeing people like yo 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 yo. I was next. It's like yo, it's just food. No man, you don't understand because you would have some places they were so busy that they would run out of certain things, and that's what people wanted. Like the curry chicken, they would always have rice and beans were in no short supply. But sometimes it would be the curry chicken that would just go quickly. You get a
Yeah.
run of that stuff, and and for those of you who have never been to Carabana or in New York City they call it Carnival. I know in New York, in Toronto, they would have over 1 million people in downtown Toronto above what their normal population was.
Yeah, Carabana is the it.
I mean, I the first time I went, we was 23. We took two carloads of us, and we just bailed up there. No hotel reservations, no nothing, and we crammed into like there was like 8, 9 of us. We crammed into 2 rooms. Beds had to be hard as wood, and we made it happen. That's why I tell people. I mean, I still have. Matter of fact, man, I got to sort these pictures out. I have a probably close to about 1,000 pictures of various things I've done in my life, whether it's pictures of me at the Grand Canyon, Toronto, Carabana. I have some, with with my family in New York City. We went down there for a surprise birthday party. I mean, just loads of things. I got some back to my old high schools, and the buildings don't even stand anymore. I look back at those and I'm thinking all the fun I've had, and I'm not done. I'm not done. I remember a couple years ago when I was in Toronto. I went by myself for my birthday. That was the last time I actually celebrated my birthday doing something. Usually I'm at work. I don't take the time off. I'm like, Dave, I'll celebrate it whenever. And I live streamed myself ice skating downtown Toronto by myself. Had a ball. We actually did the tourist thing for the first time ever. Went to the CN Tower, sat on the glass floor. Now, for those of you who don't know, the CN Tower, I believe it is the largest or the tallest freestanding structure east of the Mississippi River. That thing is like 1,000 and some feet in the air, and I'm looking down. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And then I stood out and looked over the lake. It stretched so far that you could actually start to see the lake curve for you flat earth theory people. And I'm thinking, on the other side of that lake, that's where I live at. I think sometimes we don't really grasp how big this planet is. And there's a lot to be explored. There's a lot to take in. And I want to acknowledge Saladin Kun Allah for his pilgrimage to Africa. And I can't recall the specific country he visited, but I do want to be able to get him on there. I know he has his own platform, and I want people to understand that that's out there for all of us to do. I talk about a date. That would be the ultimate date, an extended date that you could take a person with, your friend, or your family members. And I guarantee you that the impact that will make us, I'm looking at the pictures he posted, and I'm thinking, that has to be an experience. And not just the experience of a lifetime, but a life altering experience. Because it's not something that you can do every day. I mean, there's things in the United States that we can do every day we take for granted. But you can't do what he did every day, not unless you live there. But similar to, when I bike ride in the falls, and I take it for granted. I really do. But I always appreciate it when I'm there. I'll ride through, get covered in the mist, cool down, and I'll go ahead and bike on for whatever it is. Explore this world. Take it all in.
Let me read these comments. So Greg said we should have the group meet at Jackie's house.
Oh, snap. Snap,
Naomi
crackle, pop.
said I could eat cocoa bread morning,
Yes.
noon, and night. And she also
Mm-hmm.
said my drug of choice, hands down, is curry chicken.
Mm.
So yeah, I want to talk food and get somebody hungry as hell in this early
I know. We go to Niagara
freaking
Falls.
11:30,
So,
whatever.
Wolf, you better open the door when I knock with the food in the cart.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey,
My backyard is a fair size, but depending on how many people show up, I mean, we can, like I said, all that stuff can always be figured out.
Yeah, we could.
Always.
Yeah, we could do a get together and just just have a day of just meet and greet and just break bread and have some come to Jesus moments and some jokes and all that.
Greg said
Yeah.
it's too late, and Naomi said I'm packing the car up now.
Oh snap! Ask her if she wants some cheesecake too. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't think if they see the pictures, they'll be like, "Oh, she got to bring that too." Mr. Wolf, did you get the pictures of the other
I
cheesecake?
did. Yeah, I
Okay.
sure did.
And that other one of those pics had a squash that I like an acorn squash, and
Okay.
I cut up. I use all fresh vegetables, and I sliced
Yeah.
a beef kielbasa that my family had because I don't eat that stuff. So
Hmm.
I sliced it, sautéed it, all of that, and I also roasted the squash prior in my air fryer. So it was like ready, and I had it nice and buttered and coconut oil, and just everything was right for that. So when both things were ready, or the squash was ready, I just made it be the container for the food. So
See,
for
this
the
is the
meat.
luxury of meeting different people.
Yeah.
So when I come to that area, I'll be like, man, I want something good, whatever. And I say, Jackie, what you got on the menu, whatever,
I
about
know
to
that's
pull up,
right.
whatever. Because sometimes you come there and it's the same. Okay, pizza and wings is all right, whatever. But sometimes I want a little something different.
I just
Yeah.
made lobster as well. It was lobster. I made what are those little cabbage things again? Brussels sprouts
Okay.
and yeah. So I had that with the crab and lobster lasagna and the lobster macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely talking up some good food. Good food.
I'm
Hmm.
sorry,
I
y'all.
wanted to close it out with the last two to finish this out when we was talking about the season, spring fever, late winter to spring, when you ready to begin dating again, the weather start breaking, people get ready to get out there,
Mm-hmm.
test the waters to see what's out there, and then finally fielding. That's the summertime, trying to catch. You trying to simply catch, play the field, see what you or you'll see people less clothes on, and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure things out. But
The spirit of nakedness. The spirit of nakedness be out there. But okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
so it gets wild. So those are like some of the seasons that people go through. Some people stay in the same mode every
Yeah.
season
Yeah.
and they don't move or whatever the case is. Some people extend cuffing season for the longest. They may just drop one and then pick up another one
Hmm.
and they may be okay with that. Some
Mm,
guys, that's what they go looking for. Like, man, uh,
mm,
I scope these things out. This all she really looking for. Hey, I'm gonna
mm,
fulfill the need. It's real. So you just
mm.
got to figure out what stage or where you at in your life to determine how you want to fulfill uh these different stages and seasons. But we're not going to belabor the point. I think we're going to get ready for some closing comments and
Yeah, but can I touch that? I not even touch
go
that,
ahead.
but can I ask the question? Because since I didn't know about this till later on in my life, and I just don't understand. So let me ask you this. This is this is another thing that people, women, basically got to look out for as well. People who just want to jump in behind a feeling or holiday or a season kind of thing. This is, thank you for that. I never, I didn't think people did that. I just knew that around tax time, folks love to have new friends, and you know what I'm saying. But I didn't realize how the seasons worked with that. And I get it when people are definitely like don't have a place. And it was funny because where I live, there's a corner store. Of course, everybody got a corner store in their area. But I'm coming down the street from a corner store, and there was a actual apartment building from where the corner store was, and this guy was standing outside with his bags. I can't with myself. This dude was, you could tell he was put out, right? I said, it's too cold for you to be put out today. What the hell did you do? Did you think about what you were saying when it was 5 degrees below? Why, boy? Why? And I just kept driving. I'm sorry, but that's crazy to me. People come together just for a moment because of a thought, and then they go through some stuff, and you see them out on the shed. It's most of the time the guys, and I'm like, dude, yo, bags, and I tell you, even the laundry bags, the meshy see-through. I said, ooh, you got put out, and I just kept driving. I said, this is messed up. I said, it's too cold for you to be out here like this. It was cold.
Yeah,
Buffalo
and,
was cold, okay? It
and
was cold.
you can always find some of them always find somebody that somehow take them in. Unfortunately,
Ah,
unfortunately, and sometimes they look for certain targeted individuals
got
that
you.
will take them in.
The desperate kind, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm,
Then
mm,
they can't
mm.
get rid of them.
Exactly. It's so sad that goes even with couples. Watch this. So there was a couple that I actually met through, church or whatever. And after a while, a person starts to kind of want to attach themselves, but then you're questioning it. Like, why? Like, when I got it, don't, and you got a whole husband, y'all, a whole married couple, right? So I was told, this was crazy. They were asking for me to have them stay with me for a little bit because they
Oh,
bought a house on scene. Watch this. They bought a house on scene, and then they moved up here, whatever, to get this house on scene. The house was a hot mess. Okay, no problem. No problem. They were trying to live in a part of the house. That, no problem. But I would felt such a heaviness on them trying to come here. So I ended up speaking to someone else, a very important person, the top of the clergy kind of thing. So I just happened to mention it to them because I was like, yo, this don't feel right to me. And I don't want to be mean and try to seem mean, because this is the cover, blah, blah, blah. I was I was warned, don't do that because you won't be the first and you won't be the last. I said, what? I
oh,
said, you ain't got to say nothing else to me. I'm glad it weighed on me as it did, because the woman's intuition is a big deal for me. The Holy Spirit shows me something. I'm like, something ain't right with that. And they would have been a thorn in my flesh, literally, literally. And I'm like, I don't know. People got that mentality. I don't know what they're doing with their funds. I don't know what's going on. But ooh. So I'm leery. I'm leery about what's going on in people's life before I let them even, you know, come here and even spend a night or even take a nap. I'm sorry.
Listen,
That's so
listen,
I'm with
Jackie.
you.
Listen, Jackie. When I pull up for that food, I'm only blowing or texting you. I'm outside.
That'd be no. Listen, this a different situation with you, and yo, Mr. Wolf too. You can, no problem with that. I don't have no problem because I know you guys have a life and have a brain that works and you guys are not trying to overstep it. I get it. No, I don't have a problem. Get out the car and help me take the food to you because you gonna help. I did all the work. You gonna help carry them stuff out. Okay.
I hear that.
But yeah, but I don't do that whole let's hang out. I don't even have conversations with people that has that issue in that manner. Like I want to just hang out with you and just be here and cuffing, and I don't even people can't even approach me like that. They just look at me and know, wrong chick. Like
Well, that's a
that
good thing, though.
that queen over there, she will slice you with her mouth as soon as you say something stupid. Because I'm gonna ask you two questions, and it's gonna be one: are you thinking before you speak? And two, do you know who you're speaking to? That's it. And when the conversation either done or continues. So I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry. I
no
guess
need
you
to
saw the other side of
apologize.
Jackie.
Real talk.
I took over this evening, didn't I? In the end, I'm sorry.
You great.
Nah,
You
it's
good. You
okay.
good. You good. You good. So, with all that said, a lot of stuff been said, a lot of things been thrown out there. Closing comments so we can get up out of here and everybody can, I guess, get a good night's sleep or
Hmm.
relaxation
Hmm.
and
Go wash
on to
my
the next
hair.
one.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
Jackie,
yes,
I know
I'll jump on that.
you came on late, so everything you heard and the topics, what's your closing comments?
Well, all the Valentine and the cuffing and all of that. That's a ooh wee. I'm just I'm just not into the whole fiasco of the pretense for a day and all of that. So I just think that people should look for substance more than just a bunch of flair. Um, when it comes down to the people they choose to spend that time with, because you never know what's on a person's mind. They might be thinking one thing, you're thinking another, and neither one of you are thinking the same thing at all in regards to coming together and wanting to be together. You might want this moment, but not the forever or the future, you know? So people shouldn't jump and hit it just because they feel like, hey, it's Valentine's Day. I bought enough roses and candy and stuff. So, you know, that can be a lasting mess, can turn out to be the worst thing you ever did. So people just choose the right people to spend that kind of quality time with, especially if they want the same. And I'm done.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
I'm gonna make mine real simple, real easy. Stop being a turtle. Just because something makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not good for you. Go out, venture the world, embrace another culture. And with that said, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Yeah. All right. All right. And mine's kind of tied in the lines of herbs. And I mentioned earlier, like, okay, sometimes you just gotta jump out there, get out there and get something. But you gotta process it and understand your stages or where you're at. And that dictates a lot of things, where you're at with certain situations. If you're not at your best, you're gonna end up in the same situation no matter who you with. It
Hmm.
could be the top of the line woman or man that, oh my God, I got this opportunity. But if you, again, we talked about this before, no matter where you go, you're still bringing you with you. So
Yeah.
your habits,
Hmm.
behaviors, and all that stuff, it don't change. So when people say to themselves, "Oh, I'm about to relocate. I'm getting the hell out of Niagara Falls or Buffalo," what have you done to change yourself that's gonna make it better? And that's part of the process or the stages, whatever that you go through in life. So always work on yourself and do something different. Take your time. A lot of times people jump into one thing, jump in another, and they do it based on these damn holidays and
Hmm.
stuff that's coming up that I don't want to be single. Oh, every year I'm lonely at this time, so I want to have someone, and that person ends up being a complete idiot. And you're
Yeah.
posting and you're doing all that stuff and you're showcasing, but then people are looking and they're like, okay, what happened? I haven't seen a picture of them two in a while. This shit over it before it started. Stop
Hmm.
doing all that stuff. Take time and keep stuff in house before you let everything out of the house.
Yep.
And that's how I'm gonna end it. I gotta write that down. Keep it in house before you let it out the house. And,
And keep it honest too. You got to keep it
yeah,
honest. Don't go in there with no false nothing. If you bring in falsehood and just get what you want, then it's gonna show because you can't be a chameleon, and definitely people don't see who you really are after a while. So
and that's true. So with that said, thanks everybody who was in the chat or who viewed and maybe didn't say anything, but that's fine too. Please subscribe. Please like and share the video, and we on to the next one. We out. See you next Monday, but continue to chime in during the counselor's corner, and we're gonna keep moving forward. And we out. That playing that
God
turtle.
bless.
All right,
God bless everyone.
we out, good people. Everybody be safe and be well.
Hey Herb, I need your digits. So somehow get it to me, sir.
Okay, we'll do.
All right, thank you.
Take
God
care,
bless you.
everybody.
All right,
God
all
bless
right.
King.
God bless.
And
Peace.